There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to From One Side to the Other. Yeah, this week you get to see my beautiful face. Tragically, he's here still.
Tragically, we get to see your face. Last two episodes were great. Didn't see anybody.
You know what's funny is actually I got complaints. I got complaints about that.
And we had a great person on the show as well.
Yeah.
You had to scare him off.
No, he had to deal with something way scarier than me. He had to go back to college. Hi, Connie.
Poor Johnson.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Tara. So, yep. You saw that title. We're going to be talking about Strange Kings tonight.
Yeah.
Audio works.
Oh, audio works.
Yeah.
See, I was doing something productive.
Okay, that is a bold-faced lie.
You know what's also a bold-faced lie?
What?
Your face. I've been working too much. I don't have any good comebacks.
You ever feel like you were having a battle of wits with an unarmed opponent?
That's how I feel with when I deal with shoplifters all the time.
That's how I feel whenever you sit on my couch. Hello, Mr. Bishop. What?
I said you enjoy my presence.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, no. Before we get started, yeah. Of course, cheap pop for our good friend, the Black Lily, over on Meta or Facebook and TikTok. Apparently she got her 3D printer working, so she actually is trying to make like dice and dragons now. Yeah, we showed them when Sean was first here. The little slinky dragons that are over there in the desert. Go. There it is.
You're leaving innocent creatures alone in the desert? What's wrong with you?
Okay, you're on my show. That should tell people a lot that I am not someone to be trusted with any good decision making. But yeah, no, these adorable little buggers. In fact, here. You can go ahead and just hang out there on anti-famine. There we go.
Yeah, we're in a desert. You know,
it's kind of cute how actually he fits perfectly on there.
Yeah, it is.
It's adorable.
So you can move your show up to West Virginia. That'll be a safer spot.
You can also go and take a walk and just not stop. But anyway, there was a part
there.
No,
barbecue.
no.
It's a really great guy.
Okay, first of all, people in West Virginia don't know how to barbecue. Second of all, I don't believe that was a guy. Thirdly, shut up.
I still say we should go to West Virginia.
That's nice. No, by the way. Anyhow. But yeah, no. I will admit, probably should have done this show when we had, the student of anthropology. But it was just easier to set up and play the board games, honestly. But anyhow, we're going to get into this. This is actually a topic I've wanted to talk about for a long time. I actually really love history, and it's funny, too, because, I always said the show is about the weird, the strange, and the unknown. It's hard to get weirder than people. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest, history is weird.
It is. And that's before you add in the convolutedness of, different perspectives and opinions, which we'll get to in a minute. But the first one we're going to talk about is one of probably my favorite historical figures, and I mean that sincerely. Like, he easily makes the top 10. I can't wait for this guy to have no clue what I'm talking about, but we're going to be talking about probably the coolest guy you wouldn't want to shake his hand. I am talking, of course, about King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem.
I've heard of him. I don't know a lot about him, but I've heard of him.
I was actually expecting you to go, who?
I may look like an idiot, but I'm not that stupid.
Not even going to touch it. Anyhow, so
This is my knife.
that is the knife that you left in my couch
Yep, this is my knife.
like 2 weeks ago.
I was
Yeah,
wondering where this is at.
2 weeks ago when you brought it out, it was stuck in the couch.
I found it with my back, by the way.
It's like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a knife.
No foreshadowing telling there, but yeah. I was wondering where this is at. I have way too many.
It fell out of your pocket. I mean,
Probably.
I love how we're all glancing over the fact that we found it because of the fact it stabbed me.
Again, no foreshadowing there.
Anyway, back to my point. Baldwin is known often as the Leper King or the King of Leprosy. This is because of the fact that he contracted it, and we don't quite know when he actually got it. Now, he was born in 1161 AD, and the interesting thing is he made it a long time for leprosy. Now, for those of you who don't know what it is, because it is largely gone in our modern age,
Yeah, it's a horrifying disease.
it's essentially a disease that tricks your brain into thinking you've died, so your body begins to decompose. A lot of common belief of the time frame that he was alive was actually that leprosy was a curse for infidelity. If your parents had affairs, you'd get leprosy. Make of that what you will. But we're not quite sure when he actually got it. We know that he was a child, though, because there's this famous speech he made about how... Excuse me. He made this very famous speech where he said that they claimed I wouldn't live to see 8 years old. Then I did. Then they said I wouldn't become pubescent, meaning he wouldn't live to be a teenager. Then I did. What's funny is he was surrounded by death. Everyone around him dropped like flies, but he never faltered. His father died when he was fairly young. He had several uncles who also passed away when he was still just a child. In fact, technically, hold on a second here, I'm going to find it. Yeah, he was 13 years old when they petitioned for him to take up the throne. A child.
Oh, back then he would have been an adult, technically speaking.
Kind of. Now, what's interesting...
Let's be honest. Most of those deaths were not accidental.
Possibly. What's interesting is he kind of lucked out, too, because he had this... a man who was a friend of his family, Count Raymond III. And Raymond, which is really tragic because a lot of people remember him as actually being a traitor, because there's weird stories about how he eventually actually tried to usurp Baldwin, but I'll explain that later. Raymond III kind of ruled as his proxy for Baldwin when he was a child, until a couple years later when they decided he was old enough to actually assume the responsibilities of king. And again, out of nowhere, they kind of shift the story to where Ramon was like this conniving backstabber, but at the same time, a lot of people also say those were stories that were spread to actually try and debase Baldwin. It's like, hey, look, his best friend is a backstabbing bastard, you know? Because here's the thing. They call Baldwin the King of the Lepers, or the Leper King. I argue there's a much better title that he is deserving of. The King of Sass. This guy had 0 F's to give, and he had no qualms telling you all about it.
We need more people like him in office.
Oh, no. It's funny. He went through dozens of royal physicians over the course of his life, and all of them were quitters. They all were like, you know what? I can't take care of you. You're trying to get yourself killed. No. They literally were like, nope, I'm not touching him. I don't care if it's that he's a leper. He's a terrible patient. He wouldn't listen to his advisors ever.
If he did, he probably would have ended up dying when he was a kid.
That's a good point.
Let's be honest. You had how many doctors telling you you were going to die by a certain age and that should never happen? Why the hell are you going to start listening to them now?
I mean, you know, there's jokes about the stereotypical relationship between Christians and doctors, but, you know. But no,
Both of them lie.
Well, I was going to say Christians don't like doctors. They call them quacks. That's the stereotypical joke.
I'm the only Christian I know who calls the doctors quacks, to be fair. And they are quacks.
No,
And
I've
that-
heard
and
your,
that's-
I've heard
and
your
that's-
dad.
And that's
I've heard Mr. Bishop in the chat making jokes about quacks.
And that's enough research that we need to do to make sure it's true.
Anyhow, back to my point.
I mean, that's science for you.
He was a very defiant man. And I have to give him credit because, like, you're literally falling apart. You are a king in a state of war. Keep in mind, he is deep in the heart of the Crusades era. Worse yet, he inherited the Third Crusade, the Cursed Crusade, the one that was really bad.
We don't call them that anymore. We call them peacekeeping.
No, they were Crusades. You can keep your apologetics to yourself.
Oh,
Anyway,
come on, I was from a
I know
bridge.
it was, and it was a bad joke when they made it.
It
Anyway,
was a great joke when they made it. Horrible sense of humor, and I do have a knife on me.
I know you do. I know because that knife was in me. Anyway,
Shaving
he
cream.
inherited the crown during the Third Crusade. Keep in mind, the Third Crusade was the one that started literally because the Church of England decided to just throw away a peace treaty with the Turks. Great job, guys. One of the big things that he did that they actually opposed was he relocated his capital of operations to Jerusalem. He was the king of Jerusalem, actually. Which is why we know him as Baldwin IV of Jerusalem now. You're going to see how many times I can say that word in a sentence. It's a fun name. Leave me alone. Anyway, though. And again, every step this guy took, there were doctors saying he couldn't do it, it was dangerous, it wasn't safe for his health, yada, yada, yada. And he literally was like,
Hold my beer.
no, hold on. It'd be ale back then. Hold me ale. Right?
Yeah, but hold my beer sounds better.
If you like beer, I guess.
Or wine.
Yeah, wine.
That would have been mead or
No, he was too far south for mead.
In the
Make
Middle
mead
East.
anywhere.
Middle East, it would have been ale or beer.
Ale or wine?
Yeah, ale or wine, excuse me.
I don't know about liquor.
Mr. Bishop is just dying laughing over there. Anyway, though. But yeah, no, he was a very difficult man to work with. And the funny thing is that a lot of people actually admired him for it. Because, of course, he was a very proud Christian. He attested his ability to survive to the grace of God. One of the most famous accounts of him was that he had been trying to hide the fact he lost the ability to use his left arm. And that's a nice way of saying it had literally started to decay to the point that it was barely hanging on his body, so he kind of would tie it in a sling, and try to pass it off that he was just resting his arm. And one day he was preparing to get onto a horse, and his physicians were like, Baldwin, stop. We know you can't use your arm anymore. We know that it has no feeling. We know you're lying to us. You have lost your arm.
here's a fancy carriage.
No, they didn't want him to get on the horse because they knew he was going to ride out to battle. And they wrote this down, by the way. This is historic. He looked down at his right hand as if in shock and amazement and said, well, glory to God. He gave me a spare. And then proceeded to get on the damn horse. But no, that was pretty much his attitude. Very strong faith, very proud Christian. Some people argue that actually may have kind of come back to bite him in the ass, actually, because, the Third Crusade was literally the one that was caused because of, religious betrayals and stuff, and people were like, if he was maybe a little bit more negotiative, and he was like, nope, we don't negotiate. He invented we don't negotiate with terrorists, except it was we don't negotiate with heathens.
It's the same thing.
Same concept, yeah, same people. But no, he always was a thorn in the sides of a lot of people because he didn't act like a king. He acted more like a knight, like a general. He believed it was his job to rule over the crusade and the fighting. Which again, a lot of people were like, "You're the king. You can't put yourself in danger like this. You need to stay in your castle and order your men around." And he was like, "But I'm a man. So..."
Yeah, the men of men. I go tell those men to go do what to do.
"But if it's the work of men to go out and fight in battle, and I'm a man, then what is my work?"
To go tell the men what to do.
"Nope, it's to go out and battle. And you can't stop me, I'm the king." Which, to be fair, I there's a logic to what he
I
said.
would have smacked him across the face and I'm like, look, jackass.
Dude, I don't think you'd be allowed to smack a king.
We need you around. We can't have you around if you're dead.
It's even worse because he himself, because of leprosy, he couldn't conceive a child, so he had no heir. He did have a sort of wife, but what's funny is that it was never considered official by the church because obviously he couldn't
Make babies?
consummate the marriage, if you know what I mean, and I think you do, for several reasons.
She couldn't spit on that thing.
See, there are some people who claim that his genitals actually rotted and fell off. Other people say that, well, a leper can't, consummate because that would require direct contact, and leprosy is extremely contagious physically. So, yeah. But he apparently tried to he did have this, she was kind of like a wife, but again, she wasn't recognized officially. And if I'm not mistaken, here we go, I found her. Sibylla, who was actually his sister. And he tried to have her impregnated by a noble named William of Montefort. But I guess homie wasn't packing very well because she never got knocked up, so he didn't actually have an heir. If I'm not mistaken, he ended up adopting, if I'm not wrong. I can't find it here in my notes. Here we go.
He was too nervous to perform.
No, Sibylla did actually get pregnant later from another person. And that baby was named Baldwin V, and he was going to be Baldwin IV's successor. But yeah, the guy he wanted to impregnate his sister, it didn't happen. But
He was too nervous.
well, wouldn't you be kind of nervous if you were being overseen by the king of leprosy? It's a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Usually you congratulate a guy who got laid with a high five, but I guess in his case he would do it as a punishment. It's like, oh, no, give me some skin. You effed up.
I don't know that way.
We're laughing about a horrible, horrible disease. I feel bad.
Oh, we can now.
Yeah, it's largely, I don't say it's treatable, it's preventable. It's kind of like bubonic, where it's actually a very weak virus that can be killed with basic disinfectants.
Yeah, it's mostly cured now.
If I
Yeah.
remember correctly, I think the last case might have been up in China.
I want to say it was like back in the 80s.
But then again, China still has the bird flu, the yellow flu, and a few
Bubonic,
other
yeah.
fucking diseases going around just because they can't
And-
stop eating random shit.
And now we are off the air. Why
I'm
do
only
I let you
stating
keep on?
facts that are actually true.
We're not allowed to state every fact under the sun. You know that. This platform is owned by Google. Anyhow. Now, to really understand him, we have to also speak about his big rival. Baldwin became very famous for having a very specific enemy, a guy who I sincerely think was motivated purely by having one of the worst names in human history.
You mean other than leprosy?
Other than the King of Leprosy. No. So his big rival, the thing we most remember him for, was his wars with... I'm going to try really hard and get this.
You're gonna butcher it.
I'm going to horribly butcher this. Salah ad-Din Yosef ibn Ayyub.
You know, I don't know what you just said, but I'm pretty sure you butchered it. But then again,
Um,
everyone here would have. So
yeah.
it's okay.
Often just
Adem Yusuf ibn Ayyub. Yusuf
Prepared.
is Joseph.
he's more commonly referred to just as Saladin.
Yeah.
Saladin.
You mean Aladdin?
Saladin. And he was the first man to simultaneously rule over Egypt and Syria.
Damn, that's impressive.
Yes, he was.
Especially back then.
Yes, he is considered, to be fair, one of the most dangerous and powerful kings of Islam. He was a Kurd, by the way, from the Kurd tribe.
Huh.
He's most known for his time in the Third Crusade, where he fought against Baldwin constantly. He's pretty cool. He's actually considered one of the greatest Kurd rulers. In fact, he controlled territory in Nubia, Hijaz, Yemen, and Upper Mesopotamia. His official title, just because, he was so damn humble, his official title was King Who Grants Victory.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was a very humble man. But no, him and Baldwin fought countless battles all across the Mediterranean. Let me see here. Yeah, he's kind of an interesting duck because he's kind of the opposite of Baldwin in a lot of ways, actually. And I'm sure there's someone who's going to argue about what I'm about to say, but Baldwin never settled down. Baldwin never was calm. He was always up and ready to fight. He was always ready to, preach and speak his mind. He was not a quiet, calm man.
And also the part that he did not have leprosy.
Who? Oh, Saladin. Yeah, Saladin was fine. He was healthy as a peach. Versus Saladin, who, despite all his accolades, all the territory he conquered, the rulership he held, he was kind of the opposite. He was very calm and quiet and content to just let all the moving parts of the machine work for him.
As a king should.
Yeah, well,
You let stuff happen. You give you interfere when you need to, but you let shit happen.
now, see, here I'm actually kind of glad you're here because I kind of want a dissenting voice with this. I see the logic of why so many people were frustrated with Baldwin. I get it. The king is a very important figure. You don't want to risk losing him to the world's luckiest archer, in some battle over a freaking settlement, right? I get that. However,
Well, when you have a dude that has not died from leprosy, he's fighting in fucking wars and hasn't died once, or probably been horribly injured other than the leprosy. Yeah, throw in your lucky duck in there.
well, see, that's the thing. A lot of people will tell you there's a difference between a general telling you what orders to follow and a man telling you to follow him. A lot of people argue that's why Julius was so successful. Julius Caesar was a frontline general. He even specifically would wear this big flowing red robe kind of cape thing around his armor so everyone knew where he was on the battlefield.
And
Which would make him a huge target.
But again, look how long it took him just to fucking die.
And he didn't even die in battle.
Yeah.
No, he got taken out by a group of politicians who literally half of them weren't brave enough to stab him in the back. They waited till he was dead.
And I think he made fun of them too.
He mocked the first one.
Yeah.
He mocked the first one who took a swing at him. But then their numbers caught up to him, and he actually was shocked that they had the gall to do it. Brutus specifically, he actually pointed out oh, Brutus, you? Okay, now it's a betrayal. This is sad. Brutus was the one he was sad about stabbing him. Everyone else, he was like, yeah, you a-holes.
Yeah.
But Brutus...
He was they were the extras.
They were, yeah. But no, so I see Baldwin's logic, and I respect it. because you can't argue with his results. He was very successful in his military campaigns. And a lot of people say, honestly, if it wasn't for his health holding him back, Saladin wouldn't have stood a chance against him militarily. Like, at all. The problem is that whether Baldwin was willing or not, there were times where he wasn't able to get out of bed. He would literally be like, nope, I'm getting up, I'm not getting up. Damn
It's like
it.
when you hit your 30s for the first time and you sneeze and throw out your back.
Oh, yeah. Or you lose your balance for that 1 second in the shower, and you slip just slightly, and suddenly there's that horrible stitch in your side.
Yep, and then or when you bend over to go grab something, and then like you just hear something pop.
Oh, God.
And you know you can't get back up, so you have to go you have to either full send getting up, or you have to lay on the ground for a couple hours.
Oh, jeez. I remember I hurt myself at work back when I worked at Walmart, and there was a moment to my horror where I was in the bathroom, and I realized I could not bend over and pull my pants up.
Oh yeah, that happened to me. But when I worked at Walmart, I lifted up my right foot to wash it, and I threw my back out. And I went to work for 3 hours. I'm like, no, I'm going home.
I didn't even go to work that day. I literally called in and was like, no, I literally called them in the bathroom, and they're like, what's wrong? I can't pull my pants up. I am stuck in the bathroom. I can't move. I am paralyzed. Thankfully, it went away.
Yeah, it went away after like a day.
I have fallen and I can't get up.
No, worse. I was up and I can't fallen. But anyway, Baldwin, it's kind of one of those things, and I wonder personally how romanticized it is. Do you know what I mean? Because people have this really strong habit of remembering history more
Fondly than what
dramatically is the way I'd say it.
Yeah.
Baldwin and Saladin waged war against each other for years. Most of their life actually was spent in battle with each other. So of course, historians who remember this are going to dramatize it.
Well, that's
Everything that Saladin was, Baldwin wasn't, and vice versa.
I forgot his name. The scientist, the one that helped make Pluto not form a planet to like a fucking asteroid or whatever. I don't remember his name. He was in court, and someone said they gave the sentence out, and the judge asked if any of them had problem doing the sentence, and he said yeah, and he's like why, and he's like then he said give his reasons, and then the judge repeated what the guy said. He's like you didn't even repeat it the right way, and that was a few minutes ago. Off memory? Like no.
Well, yeah, but again, my point is, and for the record, I'm not saying that they weren't very different men. I'm just saying it's most likely that they were both dramatized, especially Baldwin, who most people know Baldwin, ironically, from a movie called Kingdom of Heaven, which I have not yet seen, but I've heard it's really freaking good.
I didn't even know that was a movie. We should probably watch it and do a reaction to it.
But we'll see, the big thing people remember about it is that the way they depicted Baldwin, because they obviously couldn't have a person with actual leprosy, you know, they didn't know what to do. It was a very common practice in the time that lepers would actually mask themselves or like wrap themselves in gauze and not silk, potato ware, hemp, yeah, and hemp. Burlap. Maybe that's what I might be thinking of burlap.
You said Kingdom of Heaven, right?
Yes, they would wrap themselves up.
Starring Orlando Bloom.
That's right. Now, he wasn't Baldwin in that movie, was he?
No.
No, he was someone else.
Hold on, I'm seeing if I...
But anyway, in the movie Kingdom of Heaven, they depict Baldwin wearing this incredibly beautiful, ornate, silver filigree mask. Now, here's the thing. Yes, it is true that for the time frame, many lepers would conceal themselves. They would wear masks. They would wrap themselves in gauze or hemp or burlap, stuff like that. Here's my one problem that I have with this depiction of Baldwin. Number one, most lepers hid their features for shame. Because remember, they were convinced that leprosy was a curse upon your family. And so they were ashamed of it. They would conceal themselves.
Not this mofo.
Baldwin was not ashamed of a damn thing. He was proud of his leprosy. He used it as an example of his faith. He was even questioned by, I want to say it was a Kurd, an ambassador, saying, how can you say that your God is true? You have leprosy. And his response was literally, if there was no God, if my God wasn't real, how would I have survived so long having leprosy? He was not ashamed or embarrassed of his disease. And given how he seemed to almost enjoy pissing off his doctors, I'm sorry, I don't see him doing the traditional stuff a leper would do. I don't see a guy with that attitude wearing a mask or wrapping himself up. Maybe, like, if he had to like, hold his arm onto his body. But the degree that they show in Kingdom of Heaven, nah, man.
He
wouldn't...
a mask and he kept himself covered.
Yeah, you know.
In the movie.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, the artwork of him and pictures, no, he's just in regular clothes, I believe.
So Netflix doesn't have it, neither does Paramount or Hulu.
We don't have it. I've seen it like 3 times. It's a good movie.
Amazon has it for rental and or buy.
See, Mr. Bishop is saying it's a good movie.
It is a good movie. It's...
I've heard, again, a lot of people say that, like, the physical, like, the costume of how he looks isn't very historical to him. But, like, a lot of the stuff he says in the movie is very close to actual historical quotes from him.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
He had a fondness for being dramatic and, making speeches and statements and stuff like that.
Didn't he win a couple Grammys because of that role, I believe? Because the way he portrayed him, even though, well, he was wearing the mask, like...
Oh, yeah.
He did such a well job of...
I will say, I love the character design. It's just, the mask doesn't sound like Baldwin. And to be fair, I've literally read about this guy over the course of, like, a week, so I'm not going to sit here and claim to be a historian who knows everything about the guy.
But we can confirm that people in Hollywood like to take creative differences of what actually happened to him.
And again... I'm sorry, look at the stories they tell of him. Does that sound like someone who's going to hide his face? It doesn't
like a dude that's going to smack someone in the face while he's in war and like, now you have leprosy!
Oh, God.
Join my cult! My kin.
Why do you think they call me the king of leprosy?
Just be giving that shit out like cookie, like candy at Halloween.
Oh, God. That's not funny. I swear it's not.
I would have been killed long ago.
Yeah, you would. Although, again, given his attitude, he might have actually laughed at you and be like, that's actually a good idea.
Probably would have kept
well,
me around.
he wouldn't be doing with that. He'd be like, that's a good idea.
Might have kept me around.
Oh, jeez. The court jester of King Baldwin the Fourth.
My dudes, you should probably rest. He's like, no, I'm gonna. All right, let's go.
But no.
Been throwing out jokes on the battlefield.
So, fun side note about that, actually. So, as I mentioned, he was kind of, and this will sound weird to say, he was kind of lucky with his leprosy, because he actually didn't fall apart all that much. His big problem was he would lose feeling. Like, some stories say that he lost the feeling in his right leg very young. But here's the thing. True to his nature of never stopping, he literally developed his own unique sword fighting style, basically to counterbalance the fact that he couldn't use this arm, he couldn't feel this leg. A lot of stories say that by the end of his life he was blind, but a lot of people say that for a long time he was hiding the fact his left eye had gone blind first, so he could still kind of see out of his right eye. Yeah, he was. It sounds weird to say about the Leper King, but he really was kind of lucky. Like, it could have been way worse.
That mofo, like, he had luck. Like,
he had that luck.
Life, that person had no luck. Probably the life after that as well.
Now, Bishop, do me a favor real quick. He was born in 1161.
Oh, how old was he?
When he died.
24, according to what I just read. I just read that. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I was going to say, how old was he? Because he actually lived a long time for a leper.
I literally just read that.
From 1161 to 1185. So yeah, he'd be 24?
Age 24, 1174 to 1185, yeah.
Yeah. Now, before anyone sits here and says, wait, 24 is a young age.
Yeah, for us.
For us,
For
today.
Back then, that was...
That was old by anyone's. That was a good prime life by anybody. You lived to be about 30 or so.
Let's be honest, back then...
And with leprosy?
Yeah. Back then, if you were old enough to have kids, you were an adult.
Full life. Full life right there. Most famous kings. Yeah, no. A lot of people are surprised about that because you think like, wow, King David must have ruled for like 100 years. No.
You would be lucky if you made it past your 30s.
Yeah, 30-ish was the usual lifespan when you're talking back there. People really take medical advancement for granted these days.
Oh, yeah. And then, like, if you made it to, like, your 40s, even past that, you were seen as a miracle man.
Yeah. But no, he lived a very full life, and he reigned for a good while. Because, again, remember, he technically was the king at 14. He died at 24. He ruled for 10 years. And 2 of those years were spent with a proxy, with his boy Ramond.
Yeah. And then back then... like,
I want to say in his final year, he finally confessed that he couldn't see. And so he had his nephew, Baldwin V, rule as his new proxy. And then he passed away. There are ghost stories that... when news came of Baldwin's passing, Saladin was like, literally in the same breath, he thanked Allah, he thanked God that Baldwin was gone, and at the same time, he lamented that the greatest chapter of his rule was over. Because he knew it was like, no one's going to be my enemy like Baldwin was.
Oh, yeah. Because...
It's all downhill from here.
Because, like, let's be honest, like, back then, like,
And
there were frenemies. Let's be honest.
You learn to love your enemies.
Yeah, there were frenemies.
Well, because they were so constant in your life. I mean, they probably heard more about each other than they heard from their own families half the damn time.
Yeah.
Probably.
He's like, I'm the only one allowed to kill you, motherfucker. No one else is.
Yeah, and on the one hand, he's like, oh, thank goodness he's gone. That means I win. At the same time, I'm never going to find another Baldwin. You do kind of... Yeah, no, it's very funny. A lot of people, in a weird way, you come to love your enemies back then because they're such a big part of your life. I mean, obviously, you want to win the war, but at the same time, I wonder how many times they actually thought about it. It's like, what would happen if Baldwin died? Like, could you... Those positions were like, he's never going to fucking die. He should have died decades ago. They said he would die by 8. They said he would die by puberty. Nope. He kept on going.
They also said he was going to die on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm. Nope. He did die in a bed.
That man lived out of spite. Remember, children, if no one wants you around, spite does. Spite wants you around.
Well, isn't there a verse in the Bible about how the Lord provides strength without end to his servants?
Yeah, it's called spite.
Motivation. Whatever motivates you to get out of bed and just be a headache to somebody else, right? Of course, to be fair, now hold on. I do have a thought here. If you had these guys all around you saying that you were going to die at this time, you were going to die at this time, you were going to die at this time, wouldn't you kind of want to give them a headache? Wouldn't you kind of want to be like, oh, you're going to wish I died?
Remember, be that one asshole where you get up out of bed, Satan's going, oh, fuck. Jesus, God's going like, God damn it, why'd I have to make him? Be that motherfucker. Doesn't matter what you do in life.
He just roll.
Just be that person.
He rolls out of bed every morning, looks up in the clouds, and there's just Buddy Christ like, heck yeah, dude! You keep
James
rocking!
is like, yeah. His dad's like, oh, fuck.
Oh,
Satan's like, God,
oh,
damn it.
crap. I haven't been this screwed since that whole Ilya thing.
Bishop, what are you looking at?
Saint Ilya is still one of my favorites. But anyway.
Leprosy cases.
Oh!
When was the last one?
So it's curable now. In the 1980s, there were about 5.2 million cases globally, but by 2020, it's about 200,000. It's usually mostly India and China. And about 200 cases are reported per year in the United States. 81% are from Florida.
Of course, it's fucking Florida.
It is curable. Once it's found out by hospitals, it's easily curable and treated.
Now, my question is, how do they get it?
It's a bacteria, isn't it?
It's a tropical disease.
What carry, like, that has something has to carry to pass it around?
Contact. If I'm not mistaken, it's spread through contact.
No, I mean, like, yeah, but like, it's spread through contact. But usually when we get mass diseases like these, it's because someone either messed with a monkey, ate a banana, a bat, had pet rats that had a certain freaking tick on it that just decided to press it around.
See, that's the thing. It's like HIV. It's like nothing really causes it. It's just transmitted.
It's a thing that's always existed.
It says contact with other people who have it is how you get it.
Yeah,
that's
direct contact.
Someone messed with a monkey somewhere.
Oh my.
It's like there's no known
Why?
cause of it.
Why?
Again.
Why? Just Jesus.
But it's true. It's like where
Someone was
Don't agree with him when he says that kind of thing into a live microphone.
But where does it come from? We know how it's transmitted, but
Yeah,
where does
but
it
where does
actually come from? What caused it?
It's a virus. It's a disease. That's like asking, where do sheep come from? They're a thing that exists on this planet.
Yeah.
And again, I don't care how true or false it is. Do not make references to the monkey theory on my channel. You can go on your own channel and get yourself in deep shit. Okay?
I make my own channel. We know this.
I hate you so fucking much.
But yeah, it's still a thing, but it's easily treatable.
It's kind of like bubonic. You would think it's like super powerful. Actually, it's fairly easy to actually take care of.
Yeah, back in the day it was super powerful. Nowadays it's...
Yeah, nowadays we have, ways to treat it.
Yeah, it says causes Mycobacterium leprae or Mycobacterium lepromatosis. Yeah, it's a bacteria that just
Called it.
forms and,
Yeah, it's a bacteria, and it causes your body to decay as if you were dead.
There's no death cases
Sort.
on what I'm looking at because it's so...
curable
It's
now.
kind of, yeah, well, and also to be fair, and this will sound bad, I'm going to say it because we've already thrown out the monkey theory. Why don't we just make it worse? Leprosy is a lot like AIDS, where it doesn't kill you itself, actually. It makes you so vulnerable that other things kill you first. But anyway, from that wonderful, happy, fun topic...
That was the fun topic?
Yeah, that was the fun topic.
Sweet.
Yeah, no. See, I like Baldwin. And there, of course, are dramatic stories about his death and how, he lamented it. And there are other stories that claim he was stoic and he, it kind of caught him by surprise. Like, he went to bed that night saying, I'll see you in the morning kind of thing. It's very dramatized how he actually ended. But boy, howdy, what a life, right?
I can see it being like, I'll see you fuckers in the morning. I can see it being that.
I could see him literally being like, yep.
God's like, all right, you've had enough time to come up here.
Well, people always make jokes about that. When a priest or a cleric, when they die, is that being fired or promoted? You know what? I have to make the claim, I think Baldwin made it to promotion. Because, see, that's the thing. And again, it's kind of sad that it's downplayed so much because everyone talks about the leprosy. The leprosy. I would argue, and this will sound like a dig, and I promise to the Christians in the crowd, I don't mean this as an insult. In my personal opinion, Baldwin is kind of like one of the shining examples of what a spiritual person should be. He didn't use his faith as being better than anyone else. He used it to endure something incomprehensible. And again, he goes back to his famous quote, if my God isn't real, how come the leprosy hasn't killed me? Here's the thing. I'm an atheist, and I'll argue that's a valid question. I'm willing to give you that one.
As someone who I don't believe in, I believe that there's something out there. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I believe there's something there. I just don't believe in organized religion. They're like, if that's what gave them strength every day, then why not?
Awesome, yeah, no. It's like that Gandhi quote, I like this Christ fellow, I wish more Christians knew of him. I kind of have to say that Baldwin falls into that same category. Like, seriously, that's a good example of a true Christian king. It always kind of makes me wonder, too, because, again, they always try to draw a night and day comparison between Baldwin and Saladin. So was Saladin, like, not a very faithful man?
Yeah, he's faithful in other ways.
See, that's the weird thing, is that, like, a lot of people say he was actually you're not very wrong, that he was actually this very calm, restrained, reasonable guy.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just,
no, but
if you
that still leads me to my question. It's like, if these guys were night and day, if they were opposites, and we know that Baldwin is super faithful, what does that say about Saladin? What's that ominous glow off in the distance there? No, I'm kidding. I like Saladin. He's cool. Yeah, no, but anyway, we're going to move on to our second strange king. This guy was a lot of fun. This is actually one I kind of wish that Sean was still here, because, and I wish he was in the chat, but he hasn't been talking. I hope he is there, though. This is, I want to say he said this is like one of his favorite historical figures. Darius the First, or Darius the Great, depending on who you ask. Sometimes referred to as the King of Persia. Other people called him the original King of Kings, which is
familiar.
Yeah. He was a absolute rock star of his age, and it's funny because, how do I say this without insulting people? Nah, screw it, I'm going to say it anyway. He was kind of like the Donald Trump of his time, if that makes sense. Hold on, no.
So
let me explain what Let me explain what I mean. Let me explain what I mean.
Awesome.
Everything that happened to this man, everyone was sure, oh, that's it, he's screwed. Nope, he's done. He's finished. He's boned. This is going to blow up in his face. Nope. Every single time other people said he was screwed, he got like 10 times stronger. It was like freaking Super Saiyan logic here. You know how every time you think they're dead, they multiply their power? That's what this guy had happen. So let's start off. First of all, he was not royal. He was a soldier. Now, I believe he was a very high-ranking official in the military. He might have actually been the captain of the Persian Royal Guard. But he was technically a nobody. He was no one special.
He was an extra.
Until he decided, screw all of you. He literally declared that the current emperor of Persia was a fraud. He claimed that the emperor had been assassinated and replaced with a body double, which he called... Hold on here.
El pendejo.
No, so he claimed... Hold on, I have the name here, I swear.
Another name we're going to butcher.
Bardia. King Bardia. He claimed that King Bardia was already assassinated and had been replaced by a man who looked like him named Gualmata. And here's the funny thing. Whether this is true or not kind of doesn't matter, because our boy Darius convinced the 7 noble families that basically held up the empire that he was right. And so they backed him in a coup, deposing this imposter emperor.
Damn, talk about freaking having a raise.
Yeah. And for the record, real quick, we'll just gloss on this. Bardia was the direct son of Cyrus the Great, who is considered the end-all, be-all of the Persian emperors. So, kind of a big assessment to say, you know? The son of the greatest emperor you have. You're a fake! You're a phony! You're
a big phony! You know who lives here? A big phony! If none of you understand where that's from, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, but anyway. No. He was accused of being a fraud, and they overthrew his ass.
Dude, imagine how that made him feel. Like, he's the actual fucking king. The actual ruler.
Well, here's the question. Was he?
And you just get thrown as a fraud.
Was he, though? Like, it's kind of this thing. I could not find a straight answer about whether or not it was true or Darius just said it. But either way, basically because he had the guts to say, because I mean, you would think if somebody walked up to the son of Cyrus the Great and was like, fake, they'd kill you. They would not let you accuse the son of Cyrus the Great of being an imposter. They made him the goddamn emperor for it. They were like, wow, we couldn't even realize it.
That dude had to have a freaking silver tongue that Loki would be proud of.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better. So, our boy Darius the First. As you can guess, there was a bit of controversy over what he did, overthrowing the previous emperor. There were 9 provinces to the Persian Empire, right?
Keyword was?
All 9 of them had revolts happen simultaneously. Imagine for a second if all the states had a revolt,
Let's be honest. If that happened here, each state is fighting each other state.
Yeah.
We're not teaming up with another one.
Oh no, there would not be any allegiances. I'm saying, but could you imagine that? Like, there's no way somebody could stay in power with every single province of your empire in revolt.
Yeah. Except this motherfucker.
It took him, according to stories, it took him exactly 365 days. But he quelled every rebellion. And on top of that, it's even claimed that only 2 of them required military intervention. He actually calmed the other 7 down.
Again, he has a silver tongue that Loki would be proud of.
Maybe. But no, it took a year to quell all the rebellions, but he did unify Persia. And what's interesting is that he was like, okay, cool. By the way, we are literally demolishing the current government and rebuilding the entire thing from the ground up.
Because he did not want that to happen to him, what he did to the previous king.
Oh yes, there is nothing that a usurper is more afraid of than a usurper. So, you would think, wait, so he basically dissolved the current government? There's no way he could stay in power like that. He was fine. It took months. But basically, he redivided all the borders for all the different provinces. He established new authorities in them, which he called the satraps, or what we would know, if you're Greek, archons, as they were called. Oh, by the way, real quick, we're going to point this out. Going forward, just remember, there's one critical rule of Persian history. Fuck the Greeks. Anything the Greeks do, we're not going to do. Anything that is Greek, no. For example, the Greeks wore flowing robes and togas and stuff. The Persians invented pants just so they wouldn't have to wear... You're smiling over there, but I'm telling the truth. They literally looked at the Greeks and were like, well, I'm not going to do that. Hey. Philbius, come here. Wrap this cloth tightly around my legs to cover up my genitals. anything that wasn't Greek, they would do.
Let's be honest. And what lasted? The pants. The only thing that's still allowed to flow are kilts. They don't even fill.
But anyway, but my point is,
but kilts are manly.
Anything that the Greeks did, the Persians would not do. They called the leaders of their provinces archons, so they invented a whole new word just to not call them that. They called them satraps. And I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. It might be sastraps.
Let's be honest. What don't we ever pronounce right on this show?
I'm pretty sure it's satrap. I think it is. I think it is pronounced satrap. But anyway, he established them, and here's the thing: these guys were all his personal friends. He literally found his 8 best friends, because under his rule, Pyrrhus, I think is what it was called, Pyrrhus, actual Persia. The province itself of Persia. I think it was called Perses. It was not considered a province. He considered that to be the true imperial land. Every place else was conquered land, so it had a satrap, and he personally oversaw Perses.
Persepolis?
Persepolis? Is that how it was pronounced?
Yeah, I just know Tehran.
Tehran.
I honestly thought you were trying to say Perses.
No, Perses was a character from Greek mythology. Persepolis, excuse me. Persepolis was considered, and again, this is how petty the Persians were. Persepolis was not considered a province because it was not conquered land. It was considered true Persia. So it didn't have a satrap. It had the true king, the true emperor. Which is kind of funny too, by the way, because they throw that word around, king, and it's like, he was an emperor actually, but for some reason they called them kings. Of course, also we have historically, there were a lot of kings who actually were princes, and princes that were actually kings, and so on. It gets really weird when you get into royal titles.
All of it's weird.
One of the most famous kings, King Leonidas, here you go, buddy. King Leonidas was actually an archon. But anyhow, so he got his 8 best friends together, and he gave each of them a province, made them the satraps. And he said, all right, I trust you completely. I will kill you and every family member you have
if you fuck up.
If you make me even think that you could betray me. And what's funny is he ended up having to prove this. So I mentioned how he had the assistance of the 7 noble houses of Persia when he overthrew King Bardia. Now, part of this, they kind of entered into this coven pact thing, and they swore that they would always make themselves available to each other. Anytime. Day or night, anytime. We always can talk to each other. We can always be there. With one exception. If we are currently with a woman, then we do not have to honor this agreement. Well, one of these nobles tried to cash in this promise with Darius at like past midnight. I'm not joking. Like, it was literally in the AM hours. And two of his personal bodyguards are like, "Are you joking? At this time of night, you want to talk to the king? No, go away, leave." And so this noble was offended, and he's like, "No, Darius swore a pact that I could call on him any time and speak with him, and I want to speak to him right now. I don't care if it's past midnight." And so the guards left the room, went in like they were going to go find Darius. They waited at the door, and then came back out and said, actually, he's currently with a woman, so he doesn't have to honor your request right now.
Was he with a woman, though?
No, he was asleep. His guards were like, "We're not going to wake the king up for this shit." No.
Oh, poor motherfuckers.
Oh, you have no idea. This noble went absolutely berserk and enraged because he knew that he was being lied to. And he thought that Darius had lied and told his guards to send him away. So he attacked the guards. using his horse's bridle, he wrapped them together and then slashed them all over their faces with his sword. In some tellings, he literally cuts off their ears and noses, but the point is that he just absolutely mutilates them. So, of course, they're screaming in pain and stuff, and he storms off and leaves. Then Darius wakes up and it's like, wait, what's going on? And so he goes outside to find his 2 loyal bodyguards tied together with a horse's bridle and slashes all over their face. And he's like, what the hell happened?
Let me guess, they lied.
No, they told him the truth. They were like, yeah, so you were asleep and we didn't want to bother you, and one of the nobles was here and he attacked us when we told him that you were with a woman right now. And so Darius is like, okay. And so first he unties them and he actually gets them medical help. He actually cares about these guys. So good guy Darius, I guess. But anyway, the next day he orders all 7 of the nobles to gather and send representatives to see him because he wants to talk about this. This is insane. And he sends, so when they all get there, he sends the representative of the noble who attacked out of the room. And then he calls the 2 guards in and shows the guards to the other nobles. And he's like, do you think this was justified to do? And all the nobles are like, no, we would never do that. We would never, no. Why would anyone ever take a blade to your trusted bodyguards, King Darius? We're loyal.
I would have been upset, but I wouldn't have done it. I would have come back the next morning.
You probably would give him lip about it. It's like, so, you got busy last night, huh?
I would have done that.
Yeah, you would. But anyway, and so Darius orders this entire noble family brought before him. And, of course, they're like, what's wrong? What's going on? And Darius explains, hey, one of you guys attacked my 2 guards. I want to hear your side of the story because I've heard their side. Their side is that they sent you away and you tried to kill them. And so the noble who actually did it, he steps forward and he explains, I was just coming to talk to you. And here's the nastiest mic drop of all Persian history, in my opinion. Darius supposedly, sitting in his throne, just leans forward and asks, why did you bring a sword to talk to me?
That's a really good question.
And the noble literally just is like terrified suddenly. It's like, well, you see, sir, it's a funny story, actually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they were all put to death.
The whole fucking bloodline?
The whole family was put to death. He considered even killing their friends, the friends of the family, but he was like, maybe that's a little bit harsh. He did spare these 3 family members. The noble's wife, who was, she was married, so she wasn't blood, in Darius's opinion. And she basically appealed to him to spare her son and her brother, because again, they're extended family. And Darius, he was in a nice mood. He agreed, okay, fine, I won't kill you, I won't kill your son, and I won't kill your brother, because you're extended family. No, actually, it was not a big mistake. You would think that'd be a big mistake. For anyone else making it, it'd be a big mistake, but no. They were grateful and loyal to him still. And after that, everyone realized, oh, he'll straight up annihilate you if you piss him off. And that, again, it's the most bizarre thing. Everyone, you would think killing an entire family except for 3 family members would make everyone see you as a monster.
It
No.
depends on how you use your brutality. If you use it in an unwise way, they will see you as a monster. But if you don't and use it the right way,
everyone respected him for it. Everyone was like, wow, he's not to be trifled with. Cool. But what's funny is he's known as Darius the Great. That's a pretty big title. Like, you have to go out of your way to be remembered as a great.
Well, let's be honest, I think that's a prime example of how, like, he talked to his guards, talked to the other noble families. He didn't have that dude in the house, in the room, and then he brought in the nobles and asked them why.
Yeah. And to be fair, he asks a very good question. Why, if you were going to talk to your friend, right? They're pals, right? They're friends. Yeah. Why would you bring a sword with you?
And if you're a noble, you would have your own guards.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to carry your own sword. Like, I mean, okay, a knife, I could see a knife. You know, a lot of people use knives as tools, but like, no, a sword.
Even
what do you use a sword for?
You're a noble. You don't use a knife.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to. Yeah, why? Why did he have the sword with him? I mean, he had to. I mean, he slashed up the guard's face. He didn't do that with his fingernails. Hell, in some stories, he literally mutilates them, cutting off their ears and stuff. So, no, I think Darius asked a good question. Why were you prepared to slice off someone's ears when you wanted to come talk to me after midnight, by the way? I think there was something going on there. I don't think he had good intentions.
No.
But anyway, he became known as Darius the Great. What's funny is, it wasn't the Persians who gave him that title. It was the Hebrews, the Israelites, called him it. The first time we see the words Darius the Great are actually the Old Testament. See, and this is something that actually happened. Israel became conquered by the Babylonians. By the way, real quick, any fans of Game of Thrones, you need to look up Mediterranean history. Like, seriously, because this Israelite, Canaanite, Babylonian stuff is massive. And quite frankly, unlike George R.R. Martin, they finished their stories. But anyway, back to my point.
And Winter didn't take fucking how many books to get there?
Winter is coming someday. Anyway, though. So, Babylon...
How many years on the freaking TV show?
God. This is a happy place. Anyway.
You're right. I only saw the first season and it was terrible.
Anyway. So, Babylon conquers Israel. Now, there are questions about his motivation. Some people say Darius saw the potential in an alliance with the Israelites. Other people say he just wanted to screw with the Babylonians. But either way...
Or both.
Or both simultaneously. But whatever happened, why ever he did this, he actually started smuggling weapons and supplies to the subjugated Israelite people. He also waged his own attack on Babylon at the same time. So the Babylonian king suddenly literally has an enemy inside his territory and at his border. And you won't believe this, but the Israelites actually were able to regain their independence. And here's the weird thing, because the Israelites... I'm going to try and say this and not insult anyone. The Israelites were very... They were hard to impress. Let's put it that way. They really...
Alcoholic stepfather that you're trying to impress, but you can't do it. Somehow this guy did.
Yeah, the Israelites very seldom gave praise to other countries. They were very hard to impress. They were very stern in terms of foreigners, so to speak. But they acknowledged the first time we see the words Darius the Great was the Israelites talking about him. They gave him the title the Great because they admitted if it wasn't for him, they could have never pushed free of the Babylonian Empire. And another thing that got him a lot of praise, and this we kind of have to explain Persian culture. The Persians were this really widespread empire. They had territory all over the damn Mediterranean region. They had land in Egypt. They had land in the land of the Canaanites, Babylon, Mesopotamia, Greece, everywhere. They were all across the region. They were one of the largest empires in the world. And they had no respect from anyone. And a big reason for that is that they had this very strange attitude about religion. What's the expression? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's what they did. If they were in Egypt, oh yeah, no, we love the Egyptian gods. If they were in Israel, oh, we love
What's his
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
That's how they pronounced it? Yeah, Yahweh. We love Yahweh. We love, the Babylonian god. We love the Mesopotamian gods. Screw Zeus because he's Greek. But yeah, no, heck, Yeah, no. And they had this weird reputation for being spineless, that they didn't stand up for themselves. Persia has no culture was a...
I don't see it that
well,
way.
But see, that's the thing. Well, that's how they were interpreted because, well, if they were in your house, they would just worship your god. And that was seen as being cowardly. They didn't defend their culture. They didn't have one of their own. They just kind of were whatever they were at. And then along came Darius, who literally said, yeah, fuck Osiris. You know, he refused to participate in the worship of other gods. He espouted that there was a Persian god, in fact. I have no idea how it's pronounced, but it's always depicted as this kind of like a sun almost, like a ball of light with wings.
This man came out of nowhere and just made his own god.
Kinda.
But then again, like at the same time,
But,
like it's...
let me finish. So, and what's funny is you would think that that would get him in shit, right? He denounces other people's gods, espouts that he has one. But the thing is, everyone actually respected that, holy shit, for the first time ever, a Persian is proud to be a Persian. He refused to be acknowledged as anything else. He was, no, I'm from, how do we pronounce it? Persepolis? Persepolis? Yeah, I'm from Persepolis. I'm a Persian. And you will respect my culture. You will respect me. And again, everyone else was like blown away by this. A Persian that's actually standing up for himself and, you know, espouting his own unique culture. No one saw that coming. Everyone, even his enemies were like,
the fuck?
Okay, I can respect that. I can, you know, because again, they were seen as spineless. They were seen as cowardly. That they didn't, you know, they didn't want to offend. They didn't want to offend you. There were some Israelite scholars who even claimed that, oh, that's Yahweh, because, you know, Yahweh is the light, he is the good, and that's how the Persians described it. And so a lot of Israelites were like, we get it. Yeah, okay, you're cool with us. But no, this man's career from top to bottom was like things that you would think would get him in trouble and he'd be screwed over. And instead, it was a big windfall for him. Every time you thought that this guy was screwed, he would just win more. And it's funny because his son, Xerxes, was remembered as one of the biggest losers of all time. Yes.
So many timbers.
Yes, that Xerxes. No, you think I'm joking? That's that Xerxes.
That is that Xerxes.
It is. And it's funny because I always joke, you have one of the greatest kings ever. A guy who couldn't lose for trying. Like, he just always came out on top somehow against all odds. And then you have Xerxes, who literally the Persian people themselves didn't mind people mocking him because even they were like, oh, God, this guy's a loser. Why?
Why couldn't we have a second son?
That's the saddest part of all. Darius had several sons. In fact,
how did he leave it to that dumbass?
No, that's the worst part. Xerxes wasn't even his eldest son. He passed over his eldest son for Xerxes to take the throne.
Oh, God.
No.
Xerxes was the fucking golden child.
He was. He was the second child of Darius, and he was Darius's favorite. So Darius named him as a successor. And the sad part is Xerxes came kicking out of the gates because, again, remember the number one rule of Persia. Fuck Greece. It was the secret ambition and dream of every Persian king, every emperor, to stab at the heart of Greece, especially Athens. They hated Athens so much. Athens had to burn. And here's the sad thing. Xerxes wins the battle against King Leonidas. Hi, Donson. Hi, Donson. Good morning.
Hello.
He wins the battle against King Leonidas. He actually gets to Athens. He actually starts a fire in Athens itself. And then he immediately loses.
Xerxes?
Yes, Xerxes was right there.
You know, that makes sense.
It was in his hands. He was at the field goal line. He was right there. All he had to do was dance across the finish line. And he fucked it all up. And the worst part is, it was his mouth. He screwed himself over because... So here's the thing that they left out of the movie 300. In the movie 300, they show a storm destroying a bunch of ships, and they say those were Persian ships. No. Historically speaking, there was a huge storm that actually damaged Greece's navy and made them unable to send backup support to Sparta. It was estimated that King Leonidas lost half the military support he was anticipating because of this storm. And Xerxes thinks that this is a win for him because he's like, Greece, you have a storm god being in... Your great Zeus, he's a storm god, and your army got taken out by a storm. Here's the problem, though. The Greeks came back and pointed out, you barely beat King Leonidas at half his strength. You should be thankful that storm happened. If he has even 1% more power, you never would have taken him. So he ended up looking like a complete jackass.
Yep.
And again, yeah, he razed Athens, but the city survived. He just started a few fires in the place. But he's like, I set Athens on fire. Dumbass, it's still there.
When you raise something on fire, you make sure there's nothing left. You don't leave until the children stop crying.
Exactly. Keep going until the screams stop. He was right there, but he kept screwing up. And every time he opened his mouth, he immediately got pulled wrong. I beat King Leonidas. No, barely.
He let you win.
I raised Athens. Not to the ground. And worst of all, again, he allowed King Leonidas to become a martyr. Everyone told him, don't let Leonidas die. Capture him alive. Nope. Dumbass was just like, keep shooting arrows. That'll get them. Kills King Leonidas. Now Leonidas is a martyr, so all the other provinces and city-states of Greece rallied together because, holy crap, now, instead of a hostage, now we have to avenge Leonidas. If he had taken Leonidas alive, he would have a hostage. Like, hey, I'll kill your friend.
He still would have fucked that up somehow.
He probably would have. He had everything going right, and all he had to do was shut up, and he wouldn't do it.
In the words of Piccolo, Doge.
he was right there.
Did his dad disown him at one point?
Unfortunately, Darius was dead long before anything. The campaign to punish Athens happened. But a lot of people were saying,
would have been like...
A lot of people were saying, it's like, Xerxes, you're lucky your dad's dead. Like, yeah, no.
He would have killed him.
Probably.
Killed him for that shit. If he was still alive, he would have had to kill him just to redeem himself,
family name,
his loins, and his family.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Because again, Darius is like the great. He is considered one of the greatest rulers that ever lived.
And
he succeeded.
Birth to it. See, this is why golden children should not be allowed. Parents, do not have a favorite. Give love equally to your kids. Mm-hmm. Or they become Xerxes.
Exactly. And by the way, real quick, I will say one thing in defense of Xerxes. Because in the movie 300, which is where most people know him from, he's depicted as kind of being a hedonist. He has that harem with the freaks and stuff like that, and he's basically naked in a diaper with all the piercings and shit. Yeah. So here's the thing about that. Yes, the Persians did like their jewelry. They would often weave their jewelry into their beards and their hair. Piercings, not as far as I know. But the thing about that is that the Greeks, they loved to throw that insult around that people were hedonists. And so that was a common thing. They claimed Xerxes was a hedonist, that he was a pervert, that he had a harem, that he was homosexual, so on and so on.
That's funny.
I want to point something out, though. Yeah, from the Greeks. The Greeks literally had a god of orgies and being drunk. But they accused everyone else of being horny, drunk bastard. Yeah, exactly. So that's like the one thing that I will defend Xerxes on. Very likely that depiction of, scissor me timbers, that very likely isn't true. However, the Persians were so pissed off about how Xerxes fumbled every step of the way that they were okay with that. They were fine with people talking trash about Xerxes.
I would be too.
They would defend
I would try to get his brother in the fucking throne. After that fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean, I mentioned they were the ones who invented pants, literally just to spite the Greeks. But anyway, Xerxes, yeah, as great as his father was, he's kind of remembered as being the opposite of that. To the point where when they insulted him and made fun of Xerxes, the Persians were like, yeah, no, we're okay with it. Like, no, don't you dare talk down about Darius the Great or Cyrus the Great. Don't you dare do that. You show respect to them. Xerxes? Oh, yeah. That's no problem. They're fine with that because they were so pissed off. Because, again, everyone was like, Persia's going to conquer Greece. Persia's going to conquer Greece. Nope. All he had to do was listen to his advisors one time. All he had to do was take Leonidas alive. Nope. All he had to do was completely level Athens. Nope. Uh-oh. All he had to do was not give people a chance to talk. Nope. They were making fun of him. Left, right, and center. He was right there.
I would have been making fun of him.
They did.
Oh. I would have been doing it in his face.
Now, to be fair, the stories about him being freakishly tall supposedly are true, so you would need a stepladder. That is
I'll be fine with that. No. I want to get a stepladder. I will come in riding 10 horses on a fucking chariot, flipping him off the whole fucking time, and talking crap. And then would have been your father is disappointed in you. He's turning in his grave. You were the biggest mistake that came out of his loins. Your father.
Oh yeah, no, Sean, as Sean mentioned, there are stories that Darius actually did get up out of his grave just to say how disappointed he was in Xerxes.
Your dad was a great wise man. The only mistake he made was you.
Pretty much.
You ruined his record.
Yeah.
Your brother should be in charge.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided.
It's simple. He is literally the golden fucking child. The parents who favor their one kid, that kid can never do wrong. It's always the other kid's fault, and if the other kids succeed, it's because they're trying to make their favorite look bad, and everything they say is lies. He can never lie. He does everything right.
Until he has to actually drive the car himself.
And then even though there were probably incidents as him growing up fucking up as bad as that, not as bad, but fucking up. His dad was like, no, that wasn't my boy, that was the other boy.
Yeah, no, it's okay, Xerxes. Everyone screws up.
That's also what we call soft parenting too.
Yeah.
It's called an ass whooping, not kicking their asses. It's called discipline.
Yeah,
a good front hand sometimes, or even better, the chancla.
I thought that was called a zapata.
It's still a chancla. Fucking beat him across the head with it. I learned to be so good where this motherfucker curves around a corner and still hits him across the head.
Like Captain America's shield.
And in my case, you decide to duck down, it bounces off the wall and still hits you in the back of the head somehow.
Oh, I believe you.
My mom was able to do some weird fucking shit with that crap. I was on the other side of the house. She took it off, yeet that shit, and I'm like, ha-ha, and then boom, ow.
Yeah.
Don't piss off Mom. But yeah, no. You went from the great Darius the First to Xerxes the First. What the hell, man? And again, that's the thing I think is hilarious. It wasn't that he went to war. Everyone supported him doing it because it was like, this is the one thing your dad never accomplished, conquering Greece. Yeah, let's go. The reason everyone got mad at him and hated his guts was because he literally was right there, man. It wasn't even like he went and got defeated, in some battle. It was literally, he was there at the goal line. All he had to do was lean over and he would have scored. Nope. Fucked it up. Screwed it up. And so, yeah, even when people started making fun of him and mocking him and depicting him as being this degenerate, pervert loser, the Persians were like, yeah, sounds right. Son of a bitch. But, yeah. And it's one of those things. You mentioned how... Hold on. Oh, yeah. There's a joke about that, yeah. Alexander the Great was in response to Xerxes. The Greeks saw Xerxes and were like, we'll show you how you make a conqueror. We could talk about Alexander, too. But anyway, we're about at time, actually.
What were you going to ask me?
Yeah, a lot of people say Xerxes is literally the reason that Persia fell. He horribly mismanaged the war. He mismanaged everything. He broke all their morale, which is sad because his father was kind of the one who gave the Persians their pride. You know what I mean?
And his kid
and
fucking
Xerxes
took that shit away like he was.
Made it to be a joke. Under Darius, it was, hell yeah, I'm a Persian. You better respect that.
Me, a Persian?
To Xerxes,
hell no.
Now under Xerxes,
I'm
it's
an
like
Egyptian.
Yeah, I am Indian. I don't know. I'm from Babylon. Yeah, no. I'm an Israelite. Nozzle Toph. You know. What's that ominous glow in the distance?
God, if I could time travel, I would go back there and just fucking rip that kid into one.
Just appear.
And I can say that because I know I would still be older than his ass.
Appear before Xerxes.
How old was he when he was fucking executed?
Xerxes?
Please tell me he was executed.
I
I swear to God, if he died of fucking old age and natural causes, I'm gonna be disappointed with life. Even more than I already am.
How did he die?
Xerxes the First.
Yeah, Xerxes the First.
He was about 53.
Oh my fucking God.
How did he die?
Oh, he was assassinated.
Fuck yeah! I'm happy.
Oh, best part of all. They took him down with a dude who'd been castrated.
That's even
A eunuch.
better.
A eunuch killed him.
That's even better. Please tell me it was an inside job.
Yes.
Fuck yay.
Aspromitres, the eunuch, assisted with actually killing him. Although there is argument about how exactly he died, yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're gonna go with assassination.
Yeah, he was assassinated by a eunuch, a dude who'd been castrated. Because, again, he sucked. He was right there, man. But anyway, everybody. Yeah, that's our strange kings for now.
And a dumbass.
And, good night, Mom.
Xerxes is a dumbass. That's all there is to it.
Good night, Mom. Good night, Dad.
Good night.
Yeah, next week we're going to talk some more cryptids again. It's a good fallback, too, Talk about some...
Still have a few states to
Oh yeah,
talk
we got a lot of states to talk about. But anyway, boys and girls, thank you all for watching. I am your host, Kristoff N. Chester, with my faithful companions, Famine and Gluttony. This is Jesus.
His favorite Mexican.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite Mexican.
Well, I mean by default. We got the bishop over there in the corner. Got the... Why are you writing Gluttony? What the...
Oh,
Calm down, you little...
but on a note on Xerxes level, mess ups.
Calm down.
There was a soccer game.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no.
Canada versus I forgot the other team. But it's a really good team. That team hardly loses. Canada was the underdog. Certain artist has been fun of for the last couple months. I don't have to say his name. We all know who he is. He's being very petty right now. That's why I'm not saying his name. But we all know who he was. Made a $300K bet that Canada was gonna win. He did not win. The other team heard about said bet and decided to make a post on their Twitter page saying, "Not like us. Not one of us." That poor guy's been getting dissed horribly, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds like a Xerxes moment when you bet over $250 million. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Woo, boy.
And against a team and has a good track record of winning and whatnot.
You know, they say you should never gamble more than you can afford to lose, but
that man's been losing.
Oh boy.
He's been losing hard at it.
Yeah. Anyway, boys and girls, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week with more cryptids. Until then, keep checking the shadows. Seriously.